overjoyed to be welcoming an actor who is literally on this influx of back-to-back successful projects and someone who I've been connected with for a while. And this is the first time we're actually doing a proper video interview. So, Shriya Pilgaonkar, a warm welcome to you on Filme Shilmy.
Thank you so much. And it's so hard to believe that we've actually not done this
I
properly,
know.
right?
It's bizarre. Honestly, the pandemic and everything has just really made a kitchery out of our lives. But I think it's wonderful to have you, Shreya, and congratulations on the back-to-back successes that you had. With the Guilty Minds, then the Broken News, and I think just recently we've seen the Gone Game trailer drop for the next season. So, how would you describe your current situation as an actor?
It feels so good when, that circle is kind of complete because a lot of the times you can put your heart and soul into something, but every project has its own destiny. But when something does well, there is such a deep sense of fulfillment that you feel. And 2022 clearly seems to be the year that all my projects want to release in because Guilty Minds, Broken News, then I have season 2 of Crackdown as well, which is my action series, and Gone Game. And then I have one or two other projects this year and next year. But I'm really happy that Guilty Minds and Broken News, especially because those two projects are the ones that I was headlining.
Hmm.
And when as an actor you get a chance to play such incredibly written parts, you want to just hold on to it and make gold of it. So I'm just happy people have enjoyed it.
Right. Now, I must tell you, I actually watched Press, which is what the Broken News is based on. And
Yeah.
I was absolutely intrigued because I think in that series, if I'm not wrong, it was based on newspapers, two rival
Yes.
newspapers.
Yes, the
Whereas
press.
here, yes, of course. And here it's obviously based on television news and two rival channels, Awaz Bharati and Josh 24/7. The fact that I can actually remember the names, my God.
That's great.
Yeah, but well done on that. I loved your performance actually. In fact, you play a journalist who is ethically and morally challenged. So tell me, how heavy was the process of it all? Because it seemed very intense.
It was intense, but I think what was interesting is that our writers and our makers, they wanted to, at the very core of it, humanize every single person. I don't think the aim was to show somebody as very obviously black or obviously white. I think we're all flawed, we're all many shades of gray. And to give an insight into what really goes behind your everyday news, behind your everyday headlines, and especially at a time like today where everybody is journalist, in their own right with their phones.
Mhm.
A story like this becomes even more relevant. And what I liked about my character Radha Bhargav is that even though she has her morals in place, she wants to give people a voice. She's a smart one. She will do what it takes to get the job done, you know.
Mm, mm.
And she's not entirely cynical of the process, but for me Radha somewhere is the voice of the audience, because you sometimes lose hope, right, when you're seeing too much of these things, and sometimes you have all that hope back again. So Radha to me was that.
Yeah, I mean, she represents, I think, a lot of us actually, because she's the voice of today. She's the voice of the current. It's like we had a film called The Kashmir Files, for example, where you had also that layer where you have the people who have gone through a certain trauma, have witnessed a certain brutality, but then you have Darshan Kumar's character, who again was almost like the youngster, the voice of today. And I think Radha really is, the Avaz Bharti in that sense, you know. And I think that's very interesting you mentioned that. But I'll tell you another thing. Have you seen the show called The Morning Show on Apple Plus before? Have you seen The Morning
No,
Show?
no, I haven't, but I know what it's about. Yes.
Right. I was going to say, because your character actually reminded me of Bradley from The Morning Show, which is played by Reese Witherspoon. But because you've not seen it, I guess, this role must have not been a reference point for you at all, right? But I mean, it just reminded me so much of her, and not in a bad way, but in an actual good way, really. But yeah.
But I think that when you take up shows that are set in a certain universe, whether it's, a legal drama like a Guilty Minds or Broken News, where it's in the world of news reporting media, you will find those characters. You will feel a sense of similarity familiarity, because there are so many different people dealing with the same things in a different way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also in the Indian context, I don't think we've had a show which has gone, I mean, with that sort of detailing in terms of understanding the process or even characters. Because if you see, even from the Josh aspect, the discussions in the boardroom about how to tell a story vis-a-vis the same discussions in the Avaz Bharti office.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say one is obviously right or wrong, but at the end of it, conversations about, okay, this is a business, we have to sustain TRPs, but at the same time, we want our stories to be heard, that trying to find that balance. And I think Radha really tried. For her, it's about doing whatever it takes to get that story out, even if it means manipulating the situation just a little bit for her to be heard. And that's the truth, because I think it would be very hard for I think it is very hard for extremely righteous, idealistic people to function in the world today. It's not
Oh
easy.
God. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? And I think it's a rarity to be very principle minded and to stick by that. I think Sonali Bendra's character, I think to a certain extent represented that. I think Amina represented that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I think that's why we often saw that little conflict between your character and hers, which again I thought was very fascinating to watch. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed the show. I think it's probably one of my favorite Hindi web series of this year, in fact, so
Oh,
far.
yay. I'm really happy to hear that.
So yes. But look, I think just to elaborate further on what you said, about the boardrooms and the way that the stories are presented, how has doing this series, I guess, changed or influenced your perspective towards the way journalism is practiced in contemporary India?
Well, of course, I would say my understanding is still very shallow, because unless you're actually there experiencing it day in and day out, you still won't be able to get a sense of it. But a lot of my journalist friends gave me perspective, say, for example, like you, because I trust your word when you tell me, or when my friends who've been news reporters, when they tell me we identify with XYZ, that's when I know it's really authentic. But to understand the level of hierarchy
Hmm.
that is there, and to understand that it's not as simple as, oh, I have a story, I want to tell it. No, it's still not that simple. I think the challenges are still so much, and very often, as just people watching the news, it's so easy for us to judge
Hmm.
how something is being told, because very often even people within the channel don't have control over what's done.
Right,
you know
right,
and
right.
sometimes to break the system, you have to get into the system. That is what Radha says, कि कभी कभी सही करने के लिए गलत लोगों के साथ काम करना पड़ता है. you know so
Hmm.
I thought that was really fascinating. And at the same time, the show also talks about the fact that today the viewers, they also have, the onus lies on them as well to take that responsibility to verify news, to not encourage extreme sensationalism. you
Hmm.
know so it's very easy to just blame the people who are reporting the news, saying, why are they doing this or that. But we're in a WhatsApp forward culture here now today,
Oh
where
God.
we just believe anything and everything. So I think the show also highlights that sense of responsibility on not just the news agencies, but even on us, on all of us.
Yeah. And I think the good thing is, again, it's done in a very sensitive manner where it doesn't glorify nor does it villainize the news,
Yes.
because I feel like, see, like journalists, whilst of course there is that whole politics behind running a certain outlet and a lot of responsibilities that they have, especially when it comes to their sponsorship. But at the end of the day, journalists are not demons. Hum rakshas thodi na hai, hum bhi insaan hai. And I
Bilkul.
think that is the beauty about the broken news, is that it really does show those two sides. And
And even the conflicts, right, that you
mm,
might have to go through, or a new person, an intern, who has so much hope and optimism about wanting to change the world, who says, I want to become a journalist or a news reporter or news producer. And even at those levels, for them, the things that they have to crack, or what they have to do to develop their own voice, I think that was really interesting to see. And fun fact for you is that the Avaz Bharati office, the place that we were filming, it used to be a newsroom.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Fun. Wow. No
yes.
wonder why it looks so authentic.
Exactly. And of course, our team did it up completely after that. But
Uh-huh.
a lot of the main structure where, the news is being broadcast, the main cabins, all of that, the structure was there. So we actually felt, it felt really real, It
Oh,
felt
wow.
very, very real. Yeah.
Wow,
And I
fascinating.
lucked out, Anush, because I got to work with the Jaideep and Sonali, both.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Honestly, this combination of actors. I mean, firstly, great comeback from Sonali. I think honestly, not to bracket her, but the fact that she's obviously a very popular actress from the 90s of commercial Bollywood, I think her comeback has honestly been the best for me. I genuinely have loved her comeback. And again, I just love that dynamic. And it's just left me on such a cliffhanger of season two. So tell me, have you shot for season two already, or are you gonna shoot for season two now?
Well, I think right now, I'm sure there will be a season two. They haven't officially told us or officially announced it, but I'm pretty sure there should be a season two. Um, and it would be, and I think, people's reactions have been really overwhelming because
Mhm.
firstly, everyone has like binged the show. You want
It
to?
wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Honestly, I swear to you, honestly, when it ended, I was like, come on, I want another season. Because then what Z5 app does, it just takes you back to the first episode. So honestly, my naive self got very excited thinking there's another episode.
Oh
But then I
no,
see her waking up again and then Jaideep looking at the phone. I was like, why is this Groundhog Day happening? I'm just
it's a loop.
like,
It's a loop. No, yes, I would be curious to see where Radha's character goes and where all these different dynamics go. Because interestingly, if you see, even Radha and Dipankar, I call them frenemies, right?
yes.
There's
Yes.
there is there's an interesting chemistry there. There's interesting camaraderie there. They might not agree with each other, but I think they're the sort of people who can sit in a room, have a drink, laugh
Mhm.
about something, and then really hate on each other about something they've said. But there is also tremendous respect that they've shared because, as you see, the Pankar saying in the show that he used to be with Avaz Bharti. He was
Mhm.
someone with principles, and then he says, "Ki main big gaya," you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So I think these characters are being very vulnerable and open and honest with each other and taking accountability, which is why they are so much more human. And even with the Amina Radha dynamic, Sonali and I had such a good time doing it because, I've said this before in other interviews that the makers could have taken a very cliche route and made it like, oh, bitchy, or they're hating on each other, and these two strong women are, there's this vibe.
Takrar. Hmm.
But no, when she comes back, when Radha comes back, Amina sort of gets emotional and speaks to her about it, and they hug it out, and there's again that love, respect, even if they don't get along. And when you see two women have that dynamic, I think that's very interesting because they see themselves in each other.
Oh, yes, very well said. And I think it's great. It's progressive. And I'm definitely holding my breath for season two. And I hope
Thank you.
the makers make it fast because it's received really well, actually. It's got loads of
Yes.
great reviews. I think what eight, I think it got 4 out of 5 stars, I think, on IMDb, which is huge. I think it's
Yeah,
great.
I mean, to be very honest with you, I have this such a strong sense of gratitude, Anuj, because I feel like even for me, Guilty Minds, where I got to play a Kashaf, it's not every day that as actors you get to play parts like these. And
Mhm.
especially for me to play a Kashaf and a Radha and to get that much scope to show that emotional range, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
it's so rare that when you do get it, you really put your heart and soul into it, and then at the end of the day, when the audience loves it, or when I have people, young lawyers, young news, young journalists writing to me saying that they're inspired by it, that makes me feel more motivated and more driven and more ambitious.
And then there's me doing entertainment journalism. I'm just going to leave it there.
But hey, why not? Hello. At the end of the day, don't we want some spice in our life as well?
Yeah, it's okay, but मुझे मिर्ची नहीं, मुझे मीठा ज़्यादा पसंद है, but it's okay. Right. Anyways, I must say though also, you mentioned Kashyap. We have another fantastic actress who's played a Kashyap as well in Pakistan called Sanam Saeed.
Yes.
So
Yes.
again, it just goes to show it's wonderful to see two great actors play a character whose name is that. So I'm very happy to hear that. But
Thank
moving
you.
on, I think from broken news. Because I think we've literally broken every aspect, I think, to the show. Since your Hindi debut, you've done some great work on television as well. Again, Beecham House was a breakthrough work for you because it was an international series. You're working with Gurinder, Chadha. And of course, I think just before that you had done Mirzapur, if I'm not wrong, just the year before. So do you feel the OTT boom has been, I guess, a major boon for you as an actor? Has it really, do you think, picked you up from
Definitely.
the crowd out there?
Firstly, it's a great time to be an actor today because I feel like the audience is also recognizing good content. I don't think you can fool the audience anymore because they're exposed to so much. And there is so much content out there that only things that are going to reach here are going to stay with you in your mind and in your heart. The OTT space has been very, very, very crucial for my career and game changing for so many actors, just because of the sheer scope we've all got. And I do feel like talent has got its due in the OTT space, and no part is too big or small. You see the smallest of actors. Smallest of characters, small screen time characters who get love. So I think that entire approach to view acting, to view content has changed because we're exposed to so much that only things that are going to resonate here will stay in your mind and your heart, you know.
Mm.
And also, I think just the definition of what it means to be a star is changing. You know,
Mm.
it's not the typical hero heroine vibe anymore. I think you can be a star even if you have 10 minutes of screen time today. The audience is going to give you that love and is going to make you feel special and is going to make you want to they want to see your work.
Mhm.
So for me, in fact, web series, my work in this space is helping my film career
Mm.
now.
Mm.
I'm getting more opportunities there, and I'm actively seeking film work as well because the narratives are different completely. So yeah, it's a very good time to be an actor, and I also want to do international work because I've had my little experience with Beecham House, and I think casting is so much more inclusive now.
I mean, gosh, that would be great, actually. In fact, we've had so many great talents who have sort of broken into the West recently, and I'm not just talking about our cherished stars, of course, like Priyanka Deepika. I mean, they of course are doing brilliantly as they are, but of course we've had other talents like Adarsh God or Tanya Manikala as well, who have done so great in terms of breaking through into the
Yes,
West. In
yes.
fact, how challenging is it? Have you actually made active steps to go to the West, or are you waiting for that role to come to you? What is your situation like in that sense?
So I do have an agent in India who looks into my work internationally, but I don't have a team based out of UK or LA
Hmm.
as yet. In fact, right before the pandemic, I thought I would do that, but then COVID hit and sort of those plans were derailed. But maybe at some point when I have a window, I would like to go there, do my meetings. I don't really know how that world completely functions, but today I think there are many other ways to also be seen and go about it, because casting calls, we have some wonderful casting directors like Tess Joseph, you know who play a very big part in casting Indian actors on international projects.
Yeah.
So we're obviously in touch with them, and I've done tons of different auditions. In fact, even Bridgerton had auditioned.
Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. You auditioned for Bridgerton.
I mean, they were casting Indian actors as well, right?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh my God, you could have been Miss Kate Sharma.
Yes, so I had auditioned for that. That was really exciting just to sort of audition for it. But it's fun. And I think the whole point is to just keep doing it, because it's not in your control being cast for things, right? You don't know. You can do a good job at an audition or a screen test, and it may or may not work out. But I think you have to just keep rolling with it. You just have to keep doing it. and then when the stars align, I think it'll just happen.
Yeah, no, definitely. In fact, you were also telling me that you have like this very special film you're working on with Neena Gupta in it
Yes.
and Lara Datta, right? Tell me a bit about that actually.
So that film is called Ishke Nadan,
Mm.
and it has different stories that sort of intersect with each other. So you have Meena ji, Kaval ji, Tara Datta, Mohit Raina. My story has Mrinal Dutt and Sohil Nair. So these two boys and I, our story is, my track is with these two wonderful actors. And the film is about relationships and love and loss and dealing with grief. And it was nice for me to sort of do something like that, which is different. Especially because I think right after Guilty Minds and Broken News, it's very natural that people might have a perception that I'm only doing, say,
Mm.
serious roles. But that's not true, because I'm also doing this really fun series with Hotstar with Bhuvan Bam called Taza Khabar,
Oh wow,
uh, where I am a sex worker,
interesting.
and it's a really fun part. It's a comedy. So I think for me, I'm also trying to reinvent myself with every different part that I play in terms of my look or my performance, just because I don't want to give the audience or filmmakers a chance to stereotype me.
Mhm. And it's good that you're actively trying to reinvent yourself and explore new avenues. I think that is very key for any creative, even for us as journalists, like the
Yes.
technique of doing interviews, new questions, new ideas, it all adds up, and I really resonate with that. But
Happy.
this but despite being the daughter of, legends Sachin and Supriya Pilgaonkar, you've never really had a quote unquote a glamorous sort of breakthrough. You've as otherwise, as we've seen with some other, I don't want to use this term, but as other people would term, star kids have actually had.
Yeah.
Was this a conscious decision on yours or their part actually for you to break through in this manner?
So to be honest, I don't think any of these things were planned. I was very clear about the fact that I never wanted my parents to pick up the phone and ask anyone to do them any favors or anything like that. I think just the sort of person that I am, um, I just wanted things to happen organically. And of course, who wouldn't have liked a big debut?
Hmm.
That would have
Yeah.
been wonderful. Um, But when I look back, I think everything just made sense, because in my case, it happened very organically. And I felt like I wanted my talent to speak for itself. I did not want my parents to, pick up the phone, speak to anybody. And to be honest, most things that I've got have been through auditions. I haven't been on covers of magazines before my films have released or anything like that. But I also don't judge people who've had it that way. I mean,
Mm.
it's fine. Everybody has a different journey. What I will say though is that I still feel like there's a lot of work and a lot of things that I want to do that I'm actively seeking, um, which don't come by very easily. Maybe because you're not in those certain camps, or you're not hanging around with, you know, those people. But then I feel like if your work is good, at some point, filmmakers that you want to work with, they're going to see it, or they're going to, hear about you, and hopefully want to work with you as well.
Mhm. And I think it's interesting again because in the West, it doesn't matter whose daughter or son you are in India. See, as Indians, because I've grown up watching films, like Akio Ke Jharoke Se, I've watched films like that. So for me, it's different. For us, it's different. But I guess in the West, when you are actively looking for parts, you're just Shriya Pilgaonkar, who's an actor who's looking for a role. And I think you must have seen that shift quite intrinsically. And I think that must have really kind of, I guess, humbled you a lot more, I'm sure.
Something, even here, what's interesting is, of course, a lot of people know that I'm my parents' daughter. But at the same time, during Mirzapur, people were shocked that I'm Maharashtrian. They didn't know that I'm Maharashtrian. They actually thought I'm some girl from
And in fact, when my dad was out promoting one of his films, someone asked him saying, "Aap Sweetie Gupta ke papa hain?" And he he was so happy that for me it's a very big compliment when people learn of who my parents are after they've seen my work as well, because then that means that they're seeing my work for what it is. um and I feel like the audience, people have followed my journey. They know that whatever I've got has been, it's been a very step by step journey for me. I've never come from an entitled space, and I feel like I have earned every bit of what I have got today, which to me feels much more powerful, because I know it's not because of any other reason, but perhaps skill that I wish to continue to, work on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But I'm sure, as a human being, when you do get such a big debut like Fan, with Shah Rukh Khan, and
Yeah.
backed by the biggest production house in Hindi cinema,
Yeah.
that is Yash Raj Films. When you have that, I'm sure it must have obviously raised some sort of expectations, because I know my expectations would have risen. How have you learned to manage expectations actually in this industry?
You learn it just through the ups and downs of it. I don't think you can ever mentally prepare yourself enough for it. And with Fan, somehow I knew that it was not a typical YRF film. And by that, I mean that it was not designed for my debut. That film was different even for a Shah Rukh Khan in terms of what he was doing. The film had no songs. It was, it attempted to do certain things differently. And I knew that I didn't have a lot of screen time. But hey, you're getting to work with Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a big deal for me, and it was such a wonderful experience. And also, back then I had no understanding of the fact that I didn't even have management. Can you imagine? I I, I I did not know that okay, I should be doing my PR or anything like that. Everything that happened organically after that. But for example, today, even before a film has released, I see actors are on covers of magazines. They're out there. There is proper PR strategy that has gone into building that brand, and that's now a part of the business of acting also, right? You're creating your own brand. And I don't think I really had that understanding back then, but I don't have any regrets. And in terms of managing expectations, I think the rule number one for any actor is to not have those expectations. You really have only that journey to enjoy, which is yours, because we've seen examples of the biggest actors giving their all on films, big films that have not done well. And yes, it does break your heart. Yes, you'll feel bad about it for some time. But I think eventually it just oddly becomes a spiritual process where there is a sense of detachment that you have to do.
Oh, wow.
And then everything that comes after is bonus,
True.
So I really don't want to. For me, my goal or my idea of success is not just to be an actor, but it's to be a happy actor. It's to be a secure actor, wherein my idea of working is not 10, 15, 20 years. My idea of working is like 60, 70 years if I live that long. So my way of making decisions, or my way of looking at failure, or my way of looking at things not working out, I don't take it to heart, because I know that there is so much more to it. And even if it takes time, things will work out if they're meant to be like that.
Yeah, no, very well said. Very optimistic, and I think very realistic also. But I think, I would also like to think that because your parents, again, their journey to a certain stage of success has not been easy for them. They've also had to go through that struggle a little bit, because even when they were beginning, they had so many other like sort of comparisons and other sort of milestones that were already achieved by Bollywood actors. I guess their struggle a little bit must have, do you think, has also, I guess, rubbed off on you a little bit? That's kind of why you have this perspective towards expectation and towards success.
So I mean, my father has been in this industry, and he's continuing. He's still active. He's been in this industry for 55 years now. He's worked with the best people. So when I have that much experience guiding me, these are the things that I'm told. So my family is really simple. And I look at it this way, that I get to be in a home of artists. And our conversations are obviously, they're not just about film and stuff, but I think the emotional grounding that I have got is because of them. They understand. They understand what I might go through. I understand, what their journeys have been like, and this combination of talent and luck and opportunity, and sometimes it just is timing. It's not always guaranteed that if you're good and if you work hard, you might get that thing right away. So I think this approach or this understanding or perspective comes from them, and eventually what they want is for me to work on myself as an actor and my craft, because today I feel like in a world of social media, there is a lot of importance given just to create perception. People are spending too much time creating an image rather than creating substance. And I don't want to do that. I think I want to focus on my skill as an actor. And that to me is very important than how many followers I have, how much attention I'm getting, what kind of PR I'm doing. So I think my focus like that is very, very clear. And there are several things that I want to achieve, which I still haven't. But even this sense of growth that I have experienced in the last 4-5 months has been very encouraging for me, and it's given me a boost, my confidence, a boost.
Great. Well, look, on a final note, Shriya, because I know network isn't particularly on our side today, and because of the rain and due to other exterior factors. So before I lose you again, what other projects can we look forward to? I know you just gave us an example of one, but which other titles can one anticipate from you?
So like I said, there is Taza Khabar, where I'm playing a sex worker with Bhuvan Bam. That's for Hotstar. That's a series. Then there is this film Ishke Nadan. There are other 2 projects that haven't been announced yet, but that will be next year. So one will also be in English. It's an English release. We've shot it in 2 languages, and I can't announce the name just yet, but I will tell you that I'm playing a butcher in that.
Oh wow, a Kasai! Oh my god.
Butcher. I'm a butcher. Yes. That's really exciting for me. And then there's another film also coming up. So I want to mix it up. I want to do a good balance of films and series, and in different like in different genres. To me, that's also important. So let's see how it goes.
That's incredible. I mean, I'm sure you probably butcher people anyway with that lovely smile of yours. I can't wait to actually see you actually play a real butcher in that film or series, the English and Indian series that you were mentioning about. So I can't wait to see it, or if it's a film. Can't wait to sort of see that. But look, Shriya, it's been absolutely wonderful to have you on Filme Shilmy. I'm hoping that this will be the start of many, many more interviews and video interviews that we'll do. And hopefully it won't be raining then.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, thank you so much, Shriya, for joining me, and wishing you all the very best for your future work, and congratulations on this successful feat that you're currently having.
Thank you so much, Anuj, and I look forward to meeting you in person as well very soon.
Yes, make a trip to London.
Soon. If they give me my visa on time, I will come.
Definitely wonderful. All right, thank you, Shriya.
Welcome.